Hi, it's Joseph Rittenhouse, your financial educator and your lifestyle idea guy. I'm here in Beijing, China. It's 2018, June of 2018. And first I want to congratulate you for even considering going to China. I know China can be an intimidating country because the language seems so different, the culture seems so different, but that's also what makes it so much fun if you get here. Very rarely do I find myself in a country where I'm the only white guy in the country, and it's a big learning experience to be surrounded by people that don't look anything like you, and the culture is so different from you. That's one of the joys of traveling, and one of the wonderful things about traveling around the world. The reason why I would like to talk to you about the Beijing Airport, the PEK, that's the initials for the airport, PEK. I'm here in Terminal 2. Here's where you arrive when you come from an international flight. And over here you've got some ATMs, you've got convenience stores, McDonald's, KFC. Right out those doors you have the taxis and the buses to take you in the city. You also have a thing called the Airport Express, which is kind of like a subway train, and that'll get you to downtown pretty quick in about 30 minutes. I want to talk about lifestyle because I'm not a rich guy, I'm not a wealthy guy, but I see places like Beijing, Tokyo, Jakarta, Barcelona, maybe Nice, France, as being part of my overall home of the future. I want to be a world citizen, and I want to have my family living everywhere in the world. And so as I'm traveling, I treat this place as my home. I want to know how to get from the airport to the hotels. I want to know where my favorite cafes are. I want to know the prices of the hotels, so that the next time I come with my friends or family, I know exactly how it works, where to go, how the taxis work, how the buses work, and all that. So while I'm not very wealthy, I ride my bicycle and I don't stay in the most fancy hotels, Beijing is part of my home, one of the places that I want to visit often. If you want to get some Chinese food, just go to Beijing. If you want to get some Indonesian food, just head to Indonesia. And I want to be so familiar with these places that I just feel like they're another home for me. And Beijing is a centralized airport. If you're going anywhere in Asia, you're going to be passing through here. And a nice thing about China is right now, you don't have to get the complete full tourist visa if you want to come here. If you're an American citizen like me, have an American passport, if you want to get the 10-year tourist visa, you got to go down to the embassy. I think you can mail it in too, but I go down to the embassy in Los Angeles and I apply for the 10-year tourist visa. I think it takes about 8 hours or 24 hours or something like that, and that's nice. But if you don't want to get the full-blown Chinese tourist visa, China has a thing called a transit visa, where you just show up in China and you're allowed to enter the country for 24 hours as long as you're transiting on to another country. So if you just want to arrive in Beijing or Xiamen or Qingdao and rest, I don't want to do these long 30-hour flights anymore. So that's one of my new things, is I only fly 12 hours, I rest and I keep going. If you just want to rest and leave the airport and go shopping to buy some clothes, and try some Chinese food, then just get the 24-hour transit visa. When you're approaching China, they're going to give you, when you're on the plane, they're going to give you a yellow piece of paper that's called your arrival card. Part of it's called the departure card, part of it's called the arrival card. And on there they want to know the flight that you arrived on, and they want to know what your first hotel is going to be. If you are going to be staying longer than just 24 hours, you need to write down at least the address of your first hotel. So that's why you need to always have your address, have the directions from the airport to your hotel saved on your phone, like take pictures of it, and the buses you're going to take, the subways you're going to take pictures of your screen on your phone. And you don't necessarily need to know how you're leaving or when you're leaving or what flight you're going to take out of the country, but you at least need to have that information, what your hotel address is, the name of it, and the flight you arrived on. Give that card to immigration. Here at the airport, you're going to have your money exchangers, and I recommend that you exchange money here at the airport. It's a lot easier than when you leave the airport. When you start leaving major cities like Beijing, sometimes you might be the only foreigner that they see for weeks maybe. And I've been to some cities where I want to exchange money, and it's just a very complicated thing. It could take 30 minutes to 45 minutes just to change some money because they've got to make all these copies, and I've even had it at some banks where they need to open an account for me just to exchange money. So I recommend that you exchange at least $100 here at the airport, US dollars into renminbi. Another thing about China, which makes it not an easy country to travel in, it's more like an intermediate level, is they don't always accept your American credit cards, your ATM cards and your credit cards. So when you arrive here, when you try to go to the convenience store, the McDonald's, they may or may not accept your credit cards. You can't just show up here and start swiping your credit card buying food. That's also why I recommend that you come with cash. The ATMs, not all the bank's ATMs are going to give you cash either. The Bank of China ATM here at the airport did give me cash. The other ATMs won't give me cash. So I don't know the situation behind that, but not all ATMs are going to give you cash. And not all places are going to exchange your money easily. So that's why I recommend you come with a little bit of cash and you exchange your money here. And if you see a Bank of China ATM and you're a US citizen, that's probably going to work. As far as the language goes, let's talk about software in general. There's a couple of different softwares that you should have when you come, and I do recommend that you download them before you come here because the internet can be kind of complicated here. It's not as easy as some of the European countries. So let's talk about software. Let's talk about the language. Most Chinese people at least speak a little bit of English. I see online people say, oh, Chinese don't speak any English, but usually someone here is going to speak English, and they're going to be pretty good at English. And someone here in this terminal has gone to a university in America, and they're going to speak very good English. I've even had Chinese people invite me to sleep at their home when I was traveling. That's how friendly and welcoming Chinese are. They're more than happy to help you, and if they can speak English, they're more than happy to help you get where you're going. Google is not used here in China, so you're not going to have access to Google. But Google Translate can be used on your phone if you have it on your phone already before you come here. Download it in your home country. This is mainland China. They use simplified Chinese. Taiwan, Macau, and Singapore, they use the traditional Chinese, the older writing that has more brush strokes in the characters. Mainland China, they use the simplified, which has less brush strokes. The characters look more simple. Someone who can read the traditional characters, the older ones, can probably read the simplified. Somebody here in mainland China who reads the simplified characters can probably not read all of the traditional characters. So on your phone, on your Google Translate, make sure you download the simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese if you want. Translator. The first chat program I want to talk to you about, and the next program I want to talk to you about is called Wechat. And since you can't use Facebook here in China, Wechat is the most popular chat program. And Wechat can be used at the airport and a few other places that I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure there's been other places where I could use Wechat to log on to the internet. How do I explain it? It's like the company with the internet, the store with the internet, is letting me use my chat program ID as ID to get on the internet. The way internet works here is when you go to a Starbucks or a McDonald's, you're going to have to enter in your phone number, and then a password is going to be sent to your phone. But if you don't have a Chinese phone number, and in order to have a Chinese phone number you have to have a Chinese ID, then how are you going to get your password to use your Wi-Fi? So you either have to have a Chinese friend that can use their phone number to get you a password. That's going to be a more long-term solution. Very, very short-term solution is use your Wechat program here at the airport, just to tell people that you arrived. But you can also get a Wi-Fi hotspot here at the airport. That's also a more long-term solution. I usually don't get the hotspot because I don't want to spend that money. What is it, like $15 a day or something like that? I'm just guessing, but I don't want to spend that kind of money every day for internet when the hotel has internet. Hotels usually don't have this phone number issue. When you go to a hotel in China, you can usually just get on the internet. So Between the airport and your hotel, it's going to be a little bit of a, I hope you've planned out your journey, because you're going to have a period there where you don't have any internet until you get to your hotel. Speaking of getting from the airport to the hotel, the big company here for maps is called Baidu, B-A-I-D-U. Baidu is kind of like the Google of China. They have their map program, which gives you transit data, the buses and the subways that you want to take. Baidu is also the popular search engine here in China. You're not going to be able to use Google here in China. You can use Yahoo, you can use Baidu, so you're going to have to go into your phone and you're going to have to switch off of your Google search engine and switch it over to Baidu search engine or Yahoo search engine. And Baidu is very good for showing you which buses to take, which subways to take, how long it's going to take you, and how to get from the airport to your hotel. But just to be safe, I recommend that you download Baidu in your home country and you figure out how to get from the airport to your hotel at home, where it shows you the buses, how long, which way. You take screenshots of the route so that when you get here, if you have no way of getting online, you at least know where to, which buses to take to get you to your hotel. So we talked about Google Translate, we talked about WeChat. WeChat is used for a lot of things here. It's used to pay for bus tickets, kind of like Apple Pay. It's also, you can use it to pay for food sometimes in the convenience stores and in the restaurants. WeChat is also used to just talk with people. So I also recommend you download WeChat just for when you make friends. You're going to need WeChat because that's how they chat with each other. Another program that I use is Ctrip, C as in Charlie. There's a Chinese version and an English version. And you can attach your American credit card to Ctrip, at least to the English version. The cool thing about Ctrip is it gives you very detailed information about the high-speed rail, about which trains to take, the price of hotels, and it gives you a more local, detailed information about hotels. If you're using your foreign software to find out about China, Ctrip is going to be probably more accurate. I use Ctrip, I use Booking.com, and I use Expedia. I use all three to try to find the cheapest hotels, find the location of where they're at, and I use my Baidu maps to find out how to get there using buses and subway. Another software you can use is Didi if you want to get really advanced. Didi is D-I-D-I, it's like Didi Taxi, I think, in the App Store in English. And Didi is basically the Chinese Uber. You can't use Uber here now, I think, in China. So what you could do is you can have your hotspot, your Wi-Fi hotspot. You can walk around the city with your Didi and you can use basically Uber to get around. It's going to be cheaper than taxis. Taxi drivers are pretty honest here, but I think just like with Uber, Didi is going to be cheaper than taxis. And it gives you more detailed information about who's picking you up and where you're going. I haven't used Didi in a long time, and I don't know if you can attach your American credit card to that software. So it gets a little bit complicated, where if you could transfer money from your American bank account to your Chinese bank account, which I have one, I needed a friend to help me get that account because I needed their phone number to activate the account at the bank. But once I get my Chinese bank account set up and I get my ATM card, that Chinese ATM card lets me put money on my Chinese software like Didi and WeChat. So the way I put money on stuff is I transfer it from my American bank account to my Chinese bank account to my phone. Or you could just pay a Chinese friend, give them $100, and they can transfer the money from their phone to your phone. That way when you walk around the city, you have money on your phone. You could do it that way too. Whew. So here at the airport, you can get your taxis over here on the right side. Taxis and buses. There's also an Airport Express. And it's not that hard here in China. Don't let the language intimidate you. There's people that are very willing to help you. Get over here, it's a lot of fun, it's interesting. It's not impossible to get around. Actually, their infrastructure is very good, And as long as you know what buses and subways to take, it's pretty easy. ATMs have English, buying your tickets, the machine in the subway has English, and you can always find someone who went to college in America and speaks very good English, or someone that can speak some basic English here in China. So I recommend that you try China out. It's a central airport here in Beijing, and don't be intimidated by the language. From Beijing, have a good evening. I just came outside of Terminal 2, and the way they do it here in China is you have the bus numbers. If you've used Baidu, or somehow you figured out which bus you're going to take, you have these buses that have the numbers, T1, T3, take you to different terminals. We're in Terminal 2 right now, but the way they do it in China is you get in line to take a taxi. So you'll either be waiting right here for a bus, or you'll go over there and you'll wait for a taxi. And like I said before, the taxis are pretty honest here. I've never been scammed by a taxi driver, driving excessively far. So that's it for the Beijing airport, and I welcome you to come.